Hello, and welcome to the Room Pulse Media Radio Show and Podcast. Here is episode 30. I'm with myself, of course, and Jack Savage.
Just me.
Just us two today. This week we'll be doing almost a sequel show to our previous one, which was 20 Years of Cinema from 97 to 2017.
Prequel.
A prequel show, yeah. 66 to 96, so we're discussing one film from each year.
With
our
a few
opinion.
honourable mentions.
Yeah, and we'll try to put together a definitive list, see what the strongest years in cinema were during that period. As always, we play a film soundtrack. If you can guess this week's soundtrack, be sure to comment on our Facebook page with the name of the soundtrack, or tweet us at theroompulse@gmail.com, and our Facebook page is the Room Pulse Media Radio Show. Thank you. That's right. Anyway, that was the first song off this week's soundtrack. If you guessed it, be sure to comment on our Facebook page or tweet us on those pre-mentioned handles. So yeah, like we said, we're going to start with 1966 and work our way up to 96 with a few songs in between. Jack, why don't you kick us off with your favourite film from the year 1966? Or 66, sorry. And why?
I think, the best film from 66 is comfortably Good, the Bad and the Ugly.
Yep.
I can't imagine you've got anything other than that.
I've got The Good, the Bad and the Tom Soper, but
you'll be pleased with that.
Yeah, a little reference there.
I mean, I can't imagine a lot of listeners haven't seen The Good, and Bad and the Ugly.
Yeah. It's the best of the.
I don't even think it is the best of the Spaghetti Western trilogy. You know, I think I think it's a tough one between the first two. Equally, you never hear about the first two soundtracks, and I think they've got as good, if not better, soundtracks too. But you only ever hear the Good, the Bad and the Ugly theme. You never hear For a Few Dollars More.
There was a fair few Clint Eastwood westerns which were up there for multiple years to come.
I mean, his westerns will always be up there just with like John Wayne's, but we're a little bit further on from John Wayne in this.
Yeah, I also put down as an honourable mention Alfie.
I've never seen Alfie.
It got a remake in like 2006 with Jude Law in the role, but the original was sort of one of Michael Caine's breakout roles after Zulu, and he plays just a bit of a ladies' man, and he starts to discover how his sort of lifestyle affects others, so to speak. It's quite good. It's interesting. It's just typical Michael Caine, so it's great.
Michael Caine.
So yeah, we'll put these into a list and recap at the end.
Set those up. Because it's only me and Josh today, and we're pretty similar on in sort of good films. So I can't imagine the list will be too different. Although I did try and pick some different ones through the years that aren't necessarily the best films of the year, but I think are the best films of the year, or my personal favourite of the year. In fact, I don't think I have that many Oscar winners on. I think I've got a couple of Oscar winners on, but they're just the typical ones.
Yeah. What about the year after then? 67.
67.
I think I know what you're going to pick here because you've mentioned it the last couple of weeks. But maybe not.
Would you like to guess?
Is it Bonnie and Clyde?
It isn't Bonnie and Clyde. No.
No, I thought that would have been a shoo-in.
I've picked Cool Hand Luke. Is the best one because Paul Newman is just the best actor.
He's really good.
There's quite a few Paul Newman films on my list coming up soon. But Cool Hand Luke is I remember watching it when I was quite young. I watched it in America, and it was just great. I do need to watch it again, but I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah. I put down The Graduate.
Yes, I've never seen The Graduate. I saw that on the list, but I've never seen it.
It's on TV the other day, actually.
I didn't want to put down throughout this list. I didn't put down. There's only a few, and it's only in honourable mentions films that I've never seen.
But you've heard.
But I've heard it. Amazing. So, but I've never put any film down that I've not seen.
As you honourable mention, yeah, it is a really solid film. It was on TV the other day, and yeah, very quotable.
Yeah, I can't believe I've never seen The Graduate actually, but. There you go.
And yeah, my other honourable mention for that year was Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah, I forgot to write down honourable mentions for the first two. It was only in 68 that I realised that I was supposed to be doing honourable mentions too. Speaking of 68, moving on, what do you get for
68?
I think we'll have different ones on this.
Yeah, this was a good year, I found, but I've got two who I was really struggling between, and the first one, which is probably the one I'm least favouring, was, I think, of course, 2001's Space Odyssey.
It's in my honourable mentions.
But I went with Bullet, Steve McQueen film.
Interesting choice. I didn't put that in my honourable mentions.
I love Bullet.
Bullet is a good film.
Got one of the best chase sequences, I think, in cinematic history.
Flying through San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, we didn't come up with a definitive answer for 67, actually.
We didn't, actually. Cool Hand Luke or...
I've not seen Cool Hand Luke, I don't think. Or if I have, I really don't remember it. Maybe we'll leave that blank.
Yeah, leave that one blank.
Maybe you at home could tell us what you think the best film of 1967
is. Well, for 68, I actually went with Night of the Living Dead, which was George Romero's first zombie film. One, because it created the zombie narrative that we know now. But two, because it's a really good film. Which I won't spoil, actually, because something quite funny happens at the end. I say funny now, because racism and that. But I went Night of the Living Dead. But my honourable mentions I put down were 2001, obviously. If, the Malcolm McDowell film. You seen that one? He goes to like a private school and I think goes a bit mental and shoots up his school.
What's that?
If. ...
Oh no! I've been meaning to watch that because I remember you put it on. It's on my Netflix.
Yeah, I'd showed it on.
You showed it in class.
One time, didn't I? Yeah.
Maybe I'll go home and watch that tonight. So can we come up with the definitive one for 68?
Well, the other one for 68 I put down as an honorable mention was Rosemary's Baby, which I've never actually seen. It's one of the only massive horror films that I've never actually seen. And my dad's constantly like, "Why have you not seen Rosemary's Baby?" Yeah. But that is I couldn't put it as my film because I've never seen it. Maybe it is a better film. Maybe I'd enjoy it more, but I don't know. I've not seen it. So, I mean, what was yours? Bullet. Have you seen Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah. I mean, they're all so confusing. It's like
yeah, because all George Romero's are all of the Deads.
Of the Deads. I've seen. I think I've seen one of his early ones. Has it got the bit with the helicopter in that one?
Yeah, that's. Dawn opens with a helicopter.
And I've seen the one in 1978, which is Dawn, I think.
I think Dawn, because the helicopter ends. I think that the end scene of Night of the Living Dead is the helicopter. Yeah. And then it follows on very briefly in, I think, Dawn, which is his next one. I think. But it's not related to that. It's just then it goes on to another story. Yeah. And then his Day of the Dead. I mentioned them in later on in there. So
before we move on to our next song, can we come up with a definitive answer for those late 60s years?
Don't know. It's a tough one. Do you want to? Are we going to play a song now, or do you want to get to 70?
We'll get to 70 first. But what about 68? We both had 2001, obviously groundbreaking at the time. Was an honourable mention. Do you think it was probably one of the better films? One of Stanley Kubrick's most recognisable.
Yeah, 2001 is a really good film. And yeah, groundbreaking for the time because it was before the moon landing, and it it showed space and what space was like before anyone even saw on TV what space was like really with the moon landing. 2001 is a very good film, very confusing. Had me very baffled at the end. I didn't know what happened, but I know I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So I think, giant babies in space.
A film I watched recently called Annihilation on Netflix.
Yeah, I've not got around to watching Annihilation yet. I'm very excited.
Yeah, that film is confusing to say the least.
I'm very excited because it's Alex Garland who did Ex Machina and wrote 28 Days Later and that.
You go into expecting like a monster movie. It's more.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, a piece on God. What about So, do we have one for 68?
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion.
What was yours once again?
I had Night of the Living Dead for 68, and Cool Hand Luke for 67.
And I had Bullet and The Graduate.
I think it's going to be it's going to, especially with two of us. It's going to be tough because you're not going to
the third casting vote. Yeah. Maybe the audience at home could be the third casting vote if anybody's listening. 1969 then.
Easy one for me. Easy. My favorite film ever made.
Was it Butch Cassidy?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Right, I've got that down. But I've also gone with, just for the social impact, and it was one of my favourite films growing up, and I think everybody in my household loved it, The Italian Job.
I've never actually seen The Italian Job,
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why I've never seen the Italian Job.
You'd love it. It's so fantastically made and such a great look at, like, I think it's like one of the very first times you look at like British culture on holiday in a different country to an extent. Obviously they're doing a bank robbery, but it genuinely is like a bunch of cockneys and
just cruising around in minis.
Yeah, one of the best escape sequences and stuff. And ends the film. Obviously there's the famous ending where they're dangling off the cliff in the lorry or in the bus. And what a lot of people don't know about that is the studio, they ran out of money, so they always planned to shoot something else, but they just didn't have time.
Right. So just dangle the bus up.
Yeah, so that's how it ends. But yeah, I've got Butch Cassidy down, so I'd be more than happy to.
Yeah,
go
I
with
can't
Butch
argue
Cassidy.
against Butch Cassidy. It's my favourite film. I do like a good bit of Butch Cassidy.
So on to the second song of this week. Remember, if you can guess this week's soundtrack, to be sure to comment on our Facebook page or tweet us. Second song, bit different this one. And now on to the 70s. But before that, a little fun fact about Butch
Interesting
Cassidy.
fact. I'm amazed by this.
The real life Butch Cassidy's father was none other than a Prestonian, a local man from Preston.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, fun fact. Also, Mormonism was founded in Preston.
I knew that. You've told me that before.
Yeah, I told you that one before. Fun fact. Right, on to 1970. And you told me before you came in, Jack, you don't have a film down for 1970.
I don't. Only because I've not seen any big ones. Ian, 51 from Bolton, suggested Planet of the Apes, but I've never actually seen the original Planet of the Apes, you know.
With Charlton Heston.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Charlton Heston-esque acting, which is, questionable. I went with Kelly's Heroes. I mentioned it before, and like nobody has heard of it. It was on here.
I've
and
never
I was
heard of
very
it.
disappointed. It's Clint Eastwood, and is that Ian 51 for Bolton?
Clint Eastwood directing, I imagine.
No, acting.
Oh, okay.
Bad Tank in my head. What's it called? Donald Sutherland. About a bunch of GIs that go and stage a bank robbery in the middle of World War II. They go behind enemy lines, rob a bank, then make off with the gold. And yeah, it's very good. So I'm going to put that down for 1970.
Go for it.
What about 71, Jack?
Oh, well. 71.
The year was 1971.
Jack's picking a film. Oh, so I've got quite a few honourable mentions, but
Oh,
I went with a little bit outside the box one in this one. I actually went with Willy Wonka
I thought you'd go with
on
that.
this one.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
One, because Gene Wilder is a solid reason to ever put any film as the best film of that year. But I just think it's an all-round great film, for everyone to enjoy. And it's better than the remake. The remake's pretty good, but it's miles better than the remake. However, honourable mention wise, I've got, let me say this correctly, Duel. I wasn't allowed to say this properly the other week. Duel. Yeah, Duel. Steve Spielberg's first.
Duel.
The
Duel.
Clockwork Orange
I've got that down as mine.
was your number one.
Yeah, because I don't really like Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, there you go then. And I put Get Carter down just to appease people over 50.
My dad.
My dad.
My memorable honourable mentions are French Connection, Dirty Harry, and I also put in just for the laugh.
There's quite a lot for that year, actually.
Play Misty for me.
Oh yeah, that
Just
film.
for the very end scene where he drop kicks a woman off the cliff. Fantastic. Oh, I love that.
Was,
But yeah,
an
Clockwork
interesting
Orange for
film.
me
Yeah,
is-
you can throw Clockwork Orange down there.
Oh, yes.
I'm happy with that.
Obviously. Isn't that a guy who's in If as well?
Yeah, Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah. He's a creepy guy, isn't he?
He is pretty disturbing.
He did get typecast to a certain extent.
72. Yeah, it's a pretty safe bet. I assume we've got the same one for this one. Or have you not?
Maybe.
Interesting.
Godfather.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
Maybe not. No,
that's
yeah.
72. There you go. The
Yeah,
Godfather.
I mean, it's hard to dispute. It's a great film.
73. I think we'll have
Do
different ones on this.
you have any honourable mentions for 72?
I didn't actually have any honorable mentions
I
for
put
72.
Fist of Fury, which is Bruce Lee.
I've seen it.
It's pretty good for a kung fu movie. And Deliverance.
Oh, I've never seen Deliverance.
It's good. Obviously got the famous banjo sequence and guitar sequence. Where there's the little inbred country boy on the thing, just like. I used to be able to play that, you know.
I think I remember you telling me
I probably
that,
can still play that, you know. On the banjo as well. on the guitar.
So yeah, 72 is a safe bet. I mean,
73 had some good films.
73, yeah, it was a tough one actually. What did you go for?
I went with the Badlands. Or Badlands. I don't know if it's the Badlands or Badlands.
Ever see it?
It's Terrence Malick. One of his, I think it may be his first film, and Martin Sheen plays a bit of a screw-up guy. He's like obsessed with this girl, and they get together in this small town, and then he kills her dad and runs off with her. And then it's like a very much a it's called Natural Born Killers type true romance story, and it's in 1973. Really good. Obviously Martin Sheen is fantastic in it. And it's just these people on the run basically, and I think his name's Cal in the film if I remember correctly, and he's just a bit of a psycho, but at the same time misunderstood. Great film.
I have gone with The Sting. 4 years after Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah.
Robert Redford and Paul Newman again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brilliant film. It's basically like a massive plot twist and stuff, and it's just have you not seen it?
Yeah, I've not seen it, but I
really good
I
film.
put it down as something to see.
Yeah, that's a really good film. So I went for The Sting this year. Well, I only had 2 honourable mentions in this. Two horror films. I got The Exorcist down.
Culturally.
Yeah, because I do think The Exorcist is a little bit overrated. But, it did pioneer horror. And The Wicker Man, to pick up a little bit of UK there.
Bit of Wicker Man.
Because The Wicker Man is a great horror
Obviously
film.
not the 2006 version,
Obviously
which is obviously the best
2006
version.
Mm-hmm. As we all know.
Yeah, for my honourable mentions in 73, I put down American Graffiti, which is, I think, what's his name? George Lucas's second film.
Oh, right, okay.
Starring Ron Howard and a very young Harrison Ford. Really good film. About like people, I think on their graduation night or something. Been a long time. Serpico with Al Pacino plays an undercover cop. True story. And I also put down this. I've not seen it, but I just thought it was interesting. A film called The Crazies, which I've seen the remake of.
I've seen the remake. Is that the one where they it's like a town?
Yeah, I never knew there was an original.
I didn't know. Is that an original of that?
Yeah, because I read the synopsis on it, and it was like a chemical spill and everything.
In a town, and then everyone turns into a bit of a zombie, and there's pitchforks going through.
That had a really good trailer with that song bit there. All around me.
Oh yeah.
There's a good trailer. I remember that much about the film. Moving on to the year 1974. We've gone with The Sting for that year. I'm happy to go with that. I've heard good things about it.
74. I won't accept anything else. I'll start off with my honorable mentions. I've never actually seen Godfather Part 2.
Some consider it to be the best one.
Most would. My dad has been, pestering me to watch it for ages. I've just never got around to
How did you watch the first one and stop right there? I watched them both back to back in like a 6 hour.
I don't know, because I think The Godfather is a great film, but I think
the second one's better. Yeah.
But most people do say the second one's better. I've never got around to watching it, to be honest. So Godfather 2 is my honorable mentions. But the film I picked this year, which is a very safe and easy bet for me, is the best comedy film of all time, which is Blazing Saddles.
I thought you'd wait until Aeroplane to put that type of film down.
No. Blazing Saddles is the best comedy film ever made. So I've gone straight in there with my favourite comedy film ever, Blazing Saddles. However,
you realistically can't put Blazing Saddles ahead of The Godfather Part 2.
I don't know. I mean, I'm happy with you to put Godfather like Part 2 there, but Blazing Saddles is a 10 out of 10 comedy film. But I've got also down as I assume you got Godfather Part 2 down as your number one.
Yes.
But in my honorable mentions, I've got Young Frankenstein, which is another Mel Brooks film.
Yeah.
And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is another film that helped.
Yeah, for me,
forward
it's Godfather 2, and I've also got down honorable mentions Flash Gordon and Chinatown.
I've never actually seen Chinatown. I don't know why I've never seen Chinatown, but I've not.
I feel bad for having Godfather twice in 2 years, but I really don't want to give. What did you say? Your
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
It's a 10 out of 10 film.
Oh, all right, I'll give you Blazing Saddles.
Thank you. It's deserving. It's a great film.
We'll come back with 75 to 79 after this next.
After these messages.
I hope you all enjoyed International Women's Week. but always remember. That fade just came and snuck up right on me. And you. Right, we're nearly done our first decade, Jack. We've just got two more, or one more year to go, and that is the 1975 film. For me, this one was pretty easy, although I have got a fair few honourable mentions.
This one was a tough one for me, actually. A really tough one for me.
I think there's some good films, but there's just a standout film for me. And that is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, you see.
Heartbreaking. Funny, heartbreaking.
I think One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is... It was a really tough one, because I went with Jaws.
Culturally. See, I think they kind of... It's a bit like Jaws and a bit like Ron Apocalypse Now. They fluked it to an extent, you know. They rewrote that script every night.
Jaws.
And everything went wrong, and it just happened to come out pretty good, you know?
And a lot did go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I went with Jaws, but Cuckoos was a tough one, because I love that film so much.
My other one was Dog Day Afternoon. If you've ever seen.
I put Holy Grail as my other.
I wanted to, but I saved my money path until later.
Oh, I put that in my honorable mentions, but Jaws is the film I picked for that. But I'm more than happy for you to put One for the Cuckoo's Nest as the best film of the year, because.
Yeah.
76. I assume we both have the same one. This is the one De Niro.
Oh, I don't know actually.
No.
Are you saying Taxi Driver?
I got Taxi Driver.
Well, I had two down, and these were the only two I put up. But in terms of cultural impact, a film that you enjoy that's recognisable around the world, Rocky.
See, I've never seen Rocky.
You've never?
I've just never seen Rocky.
You've never seen Adrian?
No. I've just never got around to seeing Rocky. I don't know, I've just never felt the need to go, I'm just going to watch Rocky.
Mate.
Boxing films don't really do it for me.
Oh, but it's about the Philadelphia spirit. That film is as much an autobiography of his life, Sylvester Stallone's life. Boxing is a metaphor for his career. An amateur making it out in the porn industry as the Italian Stallion, then finally getting his big break in Hollywood. He had to sell his dog to make that film.
I know, and then he bought it back, didn't he?
Yeah. For an extortionate amount, I believe.
I think that's the Tom fact, isn't it? I think Tom.
Yeah, of course, it's
he's there in spirit.
Yeah. But yeah, as soon as you give me One Flew Over, I'll give you Taxi Driver. But you've got to watch Rocky.
I can't believe I've never seen Rocky. Actually,
I like all. Everybody hates Rocky 5, but I quite enjoy Rocky 5. It's one of my favourites, I think. Actually, Rocky 2 is probably the best Rocky. Creed. Have you seen Creed?
I've not. So I didn't see Creed either. Like I say, boxing films just don't tickle my fancy.
There's another one coming out this year.
Creed 2.
Creed 2. This time.
Well, I never went watching Creed because I've never seen Rocky, so I was like, what's the point? But equally, boxing films don't tickle my fancy. Tickle my fancy.
For 1977, Jack, what have you got down?
77. I mean, it's a pretty easy one now. I went with Star Wars for 77.
Yeah.
I don't see how anyone couldn't go with A New Hope for 77. And to be honest, there wasn't that many other standout films in 77. The only honourable mention I've got down is Hills Have Eyes. And I do have a lot of horror honourable mentions, if not horror, is the best film of the year.
You're a big horror fan. Yeah, I like Hills Have Eyes. I like the bit where... Is it that one where
the one with the mutants?
Yeah, he's sat in the toilet, and then he bursts out the toilet, gets in his car, and he's sat in the back seat, and he smiles at him, and then they kill him. When they're at, the gas stop. Is that the Hills Have Eyes? I think it is. In the desert.
Yeah, it's all set in the desert.
Yeah, but I think it's in the opening sequence. There's a man who's working at a gas stop.
Oh, right, okay.
And he goes into a toilet, and he can hear stuff going outside, and he fires a shotgun through it wall, and then jumps in his car, and then when he looks in the mirror, there's a guy just sat in the back seat.
Yeah, I think that is
terrified. It's like the worst fear you can have as a driver. You get in your car and somebody's
looking at I do it every time. Every time I've seen a horror film, I always check my back seat.
It's like
Zombieland.
Zombieland, yeah.
Rule number 2 or whatever it is.
Always
check the back seat. Yeah,
good film.
It's a great film.
For my honourable mentions, I only put down Annie Hall.
I've never seen Annie Hall.
It's one of Woody Allen's better films. Moving on to 78 for me. Only 2 this year, but one standout one. De Niro.
See, I am not a huge fan of The Deer Hunter.
Really?
Yeah, no,
it's got
I think
everything you want from it.
Well, it's got too much of what I want. The first hour is just
How can you not get
Don't.
behind that Russian roulette scene?
No, that scene is unbelievable. And from there onwards, good film. But the opening... In fact, I don't think I've only ever got about halfway into that film every time I watched it, because I've struggled through that wedding scene about 3 times. And then I've always got to the Russian roulette scene, because it literally just jumps in straight into that Russian roulette scene. I've seen that a couple of times, and then they sort of leave Vietnam after that, I think.
They didn't come back.
And then I start watching it every time, because I'm like...
De Niro comes back, and then he goes back out to get Christopher Walken back into... Bring him back, because he's just stayed there, and he's got a bit...
Well, I've never seen... I've never actually finished... It's the same, I have finished Apocalypse Now once, but I didn't enjoy it.
Apocalypse Now is long, though.
Apocalypse Now for the first... I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it when we talk about Apocalypse Now.
Next year, so...
Apocalypse Now for the most part, for the... Say if it's a 3-hour film, for 2 hours and 50 minutes of that film, 10 out of 10 film, and then the Kurtz bit, awful. But I do think that's how he wanted it portrayed. Because that's what Heart of Darkness is like. You get to it's a great book, and you get to the end, and you're like, you're as disappointed as, the guy who's looking for Kurtz is with Kurtz, and I think that's quite clever in that sense.
Yeah.
But we've skipped ahead a year. Yeah. 78. I went with Romero again, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. That's what we're talking about. 78,
for 78.
Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. I've seen that one. Yeah, it's good.
Because it's a great.
People consider that to be the best of his work.
I think it's the best of his. I think it's.
I remember watching something on it about which ones where to start, basically, and they said, 78 is really solid.
Well, you might as well kick it off with Night of the Living Dead, and then move on to and then Day and whatever. But yeah, so I went with Dawn of the Dead on that one. But honourable mentions other than The Day Hunter, I had Halloween, because pioneering horror again. John Carpenter and that. I
put in for my honourable mentions the Buddy Holly story, because I'm just a big fan of Buddy Holly. And what's his name? Gary Busey plays Buddy Holly. It's fantastic. I think he got Oscar nominated. Might have even won an Oscar. I can't remember if it's 1978, but he's pretty good in it. I'd argue all day for The Deer Hunter.
I'd argue all day for Dawn. I just couldn't get through The Deer Hunter. I just couldn't. I just think the first hour just turns you completely off. If I was in a cinema, I'd finish it. But when I have the option to turn it off after that, I'm just like...
One to come back to then.
Yeah.
1979. The year of our Lord.
Pretty easy one.
Did you go with Alien?
I did go with Alien.
I was torn between Alien and Manhattan.
No, I've never seen Manhattan.
It's another Woody Allen one.
Ah, fan of Woody Allen, eh?
Some of his work. Midnight in Paris is probably my favourite Woody Allen film.
Well, I went with Alien because I just wasn't anything to me that contended with that.
Yeah, I actually had quite a lot of Manhattan and Alien were the standout ones for me, but then I had Apocalypse Now, Warriors.
Yes, I saw the Warriors.
Come out to play.
Last week's soundtrack, if nobody got that.
Yeah.
If anyone got that.
Mad Max.
Yeah.
Life of Brian.
Life of Brian, there you go. You're throwing your Monty Python hat in now.
Yeah, and Quadrophenia.
Apocalypse Now, obviously. Did you mention that? You did.
Yeah. And Quadrophenia, isn't that?
I've never seen Quadrophenia.
Phil Daniels. About mods. 60s.
Oh, yeah.
Really good. Yeah. Really good.
I've heard of.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'll give it to Alien, happily.
That's, great film.
Sometimes I felt like with Alien and certain other franchises, if I thought there was a better sequel.
Well, I do prefer Aliens, and again, that pops up on my list later, I think. But
yeah,
I don't know if
not
it's
for a few years. Time for a new song. Jack, do you want to request one?
Any of them.
Any song?
They're all pretty banging.
They are pretty banging. I'm trying to play the best ones in case we run out of time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That may come back to bite us in the bum, but who knows?
For it.
Jack, the year is 1980.
It is.
The perms are in.
Hello.
I assume.
We're broken into the 80s.
Yeah. This is a cultural change.
Tough year.
Yeah. The 60s are long gone. The 70s were a bit of a hangover, but now we're into the 80s. It's a fresh new start. Jack, what is the best film of 1980 in your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you what. No, that wouldn't start. Well, in most cases, you'd think I'd go with Empire, but I didn't actually go with Empire. So Empire Strikes Back came out in 80, arguably the best of the Star Wars films.
Seems like it's people's favourite.
However, I didn't go with Empire. I went with The Shining as
Same.
the best film of 1980.
We've agreed on something, people.
As I do believe The Shining is a better film than Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back's a good film, but it's not. That says The Shining. That's an episode of Simpsons.
Yes,
The Shining. That's a good episode of The Simpsons.
I carbon copied it off my list, and I put on my list The Shining as a joke. But now the joke is on me. Yeah, there's some other good films that year. Raging Bull.
Raging Bull. Airplane.
I put down a film. I've never seen it, but I just saw it and I thought that was a fantastic name for a film. Male Gigolo, starring Richard Gere.
Male Gigolo.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was my mum that was talking to me about that.
He's in a lot of film involving prostitutes. It's quite it's confusing.
Well, there you go. 1980, safe bet with The Shining.
Yeah, there you go.
Not going to be any
the year is 1981.
It is, Jack. And it was a tough one for me, this one, because it was a real
good
toss-up.
Films.
It was a real toss-up between two in the end.
Yeah, same.
It was a toss-up between what I didn't pick in the end, which was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep, same. Didn't pick that. But
and a toss-up with the film I did pick, which was American Werewolf in London.
I've got that as an honourable mention.
Interesting.
Along with Cannonball Run, not Cannonball.
Oh.
Cannonball Run with Burt Reynolds, which is a great film. But for number one, I went with Mad Max 2.
Mad Max 2?
Yeah.
Which one is that called? Mad Max 2?
I think it's just called Mad Max 2.
Because the last one's called Thunderdome.
Thunderdome, yeah. It's great. Originally meant to be not even related to the original Mad Max, because if you've seen the first Mad Max, it's not a post-apocalyptic film like the sequels are. It's set like in a sort of dystopian future, but it's not anywhere near. It's just like basically the outback of Australia. Somewhere between this first film and the second film, the world just went to crap and they run out of water, and everybody calls gasoline.
Gasoline is an absolute
gasoline.
What's his name? The guy who did him.
George Miller, who made
George Miller. Yeah, he's mental.
Yeah, obviously the first film was actually based on. He was a doctor. He's Dr. George Miller, and he saw so many car accidents and like things. He wanted to make a film about it. So, like one of the cars that smashed up in the first one is his car. Just
really
budget.
Was.
So yeah, this was originally just meant to be a completely different film, and then he decided to tie it in when he recast Mel Gibson again for it. But he just does that because if you look in the second and third film, there's a guy who plays an helicopter pilot who's played by the exact same character, played by the exact same person, different characters. Not the same character, but they're just exactly the same in every form apart from the name.
Interesting.
And the fact that neither of them recognise each other or remember each other. It's very odd. But yeah, I put that down. But I'd be happy to compromise with you and go with Raiders.
I went with American Werewolf in London.
I don't care.
That's the number one.
I don't care, Jack. I did like that on, but God, that film scarred me.
It's a great film.
I watched that so young. So young.
It's a very good film. My other honorable mention was Evil Dead. Throwing a bit more horror in there.
No, I'll go with Werewolf.
But I feel like American Werewolf in London was the...
Because I think I got another Indiana on in a bit. Werewolf in London. Calling for
Werewolf.
But yeah.
82.
Year of Our Lord.
Pretty... It's pretty... I went with The Thing.
Yes.
I feel like it just is just the best film of that year because it was tough one because Blade Runner came out that year and Blade Runner's a great film.
Yeah, same.
E.T.'s in my honorable mentions as well.
First Blood, Rambo, First Blood.
Which I've never actually seen Rambo either.
Oh my god, have you got something against Sly?
I do. I think I do have something against Stallone.
Again, a lot like with Mad Max. The first one's very different, set in America. The other two are like Vietnam.
Yeah, going for it.
Well, yeah, fantastic film.
But The Thing. If you've not seen The Thing, it's one of the best. One of the
was
best
it you was telling me about that theory?
The theory that I believe. Yeah, no. It's
about him drinking gasoline.
Yeah, it's
good theory. I watched a video about that after you said about it.
Yeah, no, I like that theory.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. Yeah.
Great film. The Thing is a great film. Deserves its spot.
Do you know that? What's his name? Lead character in it, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Was a professional. Second league, so not a major league, minor league baseball player.
Really?
Yeah, before and his dad owned a team.
Right.
His dad bought an independent
Probably
team.
Got into acting.
Yeah, his dad was an actor, and he got really rich, and then got fired off like a TV show that he was on for like 13 years. I got made redundant. Went and bought a baseball team in Portland.
Standard team.
Kurt Russell played for him, and then went into acting.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
must have got bored of baseball.
Yeah, I think George Clooney was also at one time or another.
Really?
Scouted to play baseball, but wasn't quite good enough. Yeah.
So he went, screw you, I'll just be one of the biggest actors ever.
Yeah, it's annoying when people just like
Can do
well,
everything,
innit?
yeah.
Why can't I be well?
83, I went with something really different.
Was it Risky Business?
It was not Risky Business.
It's a great film if you've ever seen it.
Iconic
Iconic scene of Tom Cruise sliding into the room in his underpants.
In his underpants, yeah. Is that not Jerry Maguire?
No. It's Risky Business.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I went with National Lampoon's Vacation.
To be fair, I watched one of those films after like years of seeing them and thinking these look awful, and I actually kind of quite enjoyed it.
The National Lampoon, all of them, including Animal House, are great films.
What about the one with Ryan Reynolds? Deadpool. He's in one. It's like National Lampoon, a college version.
Animal House.
Is that Animal House?
What, he's in Animal House?
No, he's in one. I can't remember. Let me get it up.
Animal House is like a university fraternity.
Ryan
Reynolds is in a National Lampoon film.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like a main character in one.
Well, I mean, he came out in the 80s.
He's been in some awful films. I
wouldn't rate him as a good actor, to be honest.
I don't think he rates himself either.
No.
National Lampoon's Vacation. National Lampoon's Van Wilder.
Oh, no, well, no.
He plays Van Wilder.
That's something different. I mean, I'm talking about the old Chevy Chase. So there's National Lampoon, there's National Lampoon's Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation, and National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Oh my god, they made sequels to these ones.
But yeah, I think National Lampoon's just the because then there's National Lampoon's Animal House as well, which is funny.
Yeah.
But Vacation's a really good
I think I've seen the Christmas. Is that the Christmas one?
Christmas one's one of the best Christmas films.
Yeah, I like that one.
But Vacation's it's just a really good
You
film.
went 83. I went with Scarface.
So again, safe bet. So I'm happy we put Scarface there. Scarface is a great film.
I also put Risky Business as well as an honorable mention. And those two Francis Ford Coppola films that came out, the Rumblefish and the other one, which is pretty good. I can't remember what it's called. They were shot like back to back.
Well, I put
Matt Dillon.
the other honorable mention I put is Return of the Jedi, obviously, for 83. But no, only one Star Wars film made it onto my list.
Yeah, just
like
one.
A New Hope. Just like you can happily put that second Godfather in.
The year was 1984.
It was.
Who did you put down?
Pretty easy one for me. This was the Terminator.
I see. I left the Terminator. I put it in my honorable mentions, but I didn't put it down first because I figured I'd put Terminator 2
Terminator 2 down, yeah.
So I went with The Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Interesting.
Don't tell me you've not seen The Karate Kid.
I haven't seen The Karate Kid.
Have you seen any
fighting films? Don't.
It's not a fighting film. It's about waxing cars.
Yeah, I'm not having that.
Wax on, wax off. How have you not seen The Karate Kid, man?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's culturally iconic.
Yeah. Nah.
Skeleton men chasing him and kicking the shit out of him. God. If I was eating 51 from Bolton, I'd be disappointed.
The only
they disowned you by now.
Honourable mention I got is Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's on mine as well.
But I thought Terminator was such a safe bet for me in this one. It's so easy.
I put Terminator down, but I'm not happy that you haven't seen
Karate
Kid.
85.
The Year of Our Lord.
Yep. Really easy one.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been anything else.
The second one, but
I find it really tough. The first one, the second one. I think the third one's great. The
second one's got everything the first one has, but a bit more.
But a bit more, yeah.
So I like it.
Which I get that. I do get that bit of it.
And the third one, it's alright. I like it, but
Back to the Future.
It's in the Old West, isn't it?
The only honourable mention I got down was Day of the Dead. Which was again Romero.
I got a few in 85, which are Breakfast Club and actually I got Stand By Me, but that's 86. I feel like I had something else written down there, but I didn't. Oh well, Breakfast Club's my other one.
86.
I should have got a song on before we get to 86.
Can do, yeah.
Why don't you tell us so far what your favourite films have been so far, and if there's anything that you change or disagree with? If I just got a message that proper threw me off then. So be sure to comment what your favourite film has been on each of those following days and what you think 1986's best film is going to be in our opinion and your opinion. 4 Jack.
Me?
Yes,
Shut
you.
up.
Now we'll carry on. It's the mid-80s. Some great films have come out. Some bad haircuts. You know, probably my current haircut.
I'm not alive yet. Neither are you, so the world's a worse place.
World's worst
Another
place.
10 years on that yet.
Terrorism is probably classified as like road rage back in those days.
There you go.
Yeah.
Irish
Everything
people.
was pure.
Just Irish people.
Yeah.
Damn
Well, yeah.
Irish.
Those are, we like all the Irish and everybody in between.
He has to say that. Them's the rules.
1986, Jack. We've had a long break. What did you put down?
Well, sequels and that. Aliens.
Aliens.
Aliens to me is the best of the Aliens films. Alien films.
Yeah, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah, I agree, but it's not mine. I've gone with
Did you
Ferris
go for-
Bueller's.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Interesting. Yeah, it's a great film. It's a very good film. The only honorable
Everything
mention I
you
put down though
That was the soundtrack 2 weeks ago, I think. Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
was. Great film. But the only honorable mention I got down was The Fly, Cronenberg.
Yeah, I've got The Fly, Platoon, and Stand By
Platoon.
Me.
Platoon's pretty good, and all the posters for Platoon gives away sort of like the biggest bit of Platoon though. That
Is
whole
it-
bit
this
where
he's on his knees.
where he's being shot.
Sometimes I forget
Absolutely.
this is radio and I start doing physical
Yeah,
gestures. And Tom's not here
Whoops.
to describe him.
No, exactly. So what are you
So-
gonna do?
Yeah, I'll go with Aliens.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean I do like Ferris Bueller, but
Yeah. I mean,
who doesn't?
I think from sort of now, it sort of got there was quite a few.
Yeah, I got some good ones for 1987. I was gonna say, a couple of years ago they released a Ferris Bueller's Day Off 2 trailer, and everybody lost their minds.
Nothing ever came of it.
And it was like an advert for a Kia or something, or a car.
What?
And he's like, how could I possibly work on a day like this? Calls his work, and then goes and the script was leaked online. It was he goes and gathers up Cameron, and he split up with what's her face, the woman in it, and she's a big Hollywood actress, and they go have a day out together. And it was just a Kia advert, and everybody was so mad. It was like a Super Bowl advert, but still nonetheless quite entertaining. But yeah, terrible shame. 1987, Jack. What have you got? Oh.
1987. It was quite a tough one between the three I've got written down, but
Mine
I
was
think
Untouchable.
yeah, it's The Untouchables.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, The Untouchables I put it in my honorable mentions in the end. It's a great film. It's a really good gangster film about bringing down Al Capone.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
Elliot Ness.
Elliot Ness, but it didn't quite beat Full Metal Jacket for me.
That's good. It's a good film, yeah. Full Metal Jacket. I've got it in honorable mentions. I just love the scene in it where Sean Connery's chasing someone and then just fires some warning shots over their head. It's like, enough of this running shit. So iconic to me. Love that. Love you, Sean. Your wife beater.
Big Sean. The Untouchables, Full Metal Jacket I went for, and the other honorable mention I got is Raising Arizona. So first
Yeah,
Coen
I do like
Brothers
Raising Arizona.
honorable mention
Blood
on that.
Simple was 84, wasn't it? I did put
Yeah.
that down. But,
I've never seen Blood Simple.
yeah, it's the one I haven't seen either. Untouchables, Good Morning Vietnam was also one I had with Robin Williams.
Yeah, the Vietnam films kind of exploded,
Yeah.
didn't
Full Metal Jacket. I think enough time had passed where you
they?
could
Yeah, so
get away
like
with
boom, go.
it. Predator as well.
Predator, yeah.
Yeah. But what are we going for?
You can go for The Untouchables, it's a great film.
Untouchables is a great film.
I do think Full Metal Jacket's probably Kubrick's second best. But
My next one is probably, I think, the greatest action film ever made, the greatest Christmas film ever made, and
Yeah.
certainly the greatest film in 1988 has ever seen.
it's Die Hard.
Die Hard.
It is.
And
There's
Tom,
no other.
If you're
no other
listening,
option.
Die Hard is a Christmas film.
Does Tom not think Die Hard's a Christmas film?
No, we had a big argument about it where he was
It's
like,
set at Christmas.
yeah, he's like, well, it's not about a Christmas theme or anything like that. I was like,
got
it's
Christmas
set
trees
at
in it?
Christmas. It's a office Christmas party that gets held hostage. He's like, no, it's an action film. I'm like, well,
Set at Christmas.
it can be other things, you know. Comedies aren't just comedies sometimes. They're black comedies, action comedies.
Mm.
Don't define us into one genre. So yeah, Die Hard. But in the year 1988, of our Lord, there were some other great films. Beetlejuice.
What a film. Beetlejuice. Can't
Great
say
film.
it again.
Great
Can't say it
film.
again now.
Beetlejuice.
Oh no. We got Big.
Big is great. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit was my other honourable mention.
Ah, rest in peace, Bob.
What a film.
And Rain Man. you seen that?
I've not seen Rain Man, no.
I started watching it today, actually. I've not finished it yet. But
it's really Who Framed Roger Rabbit is just...
What a film that is. I had no idea that came out that early. I thought it was definitely mid-90s.
It's a great film.
Wow.
Absolute
fantastic
10 out of 10 film. However, Die Hard. You know, it's just so...
It's got to be, isn't it?
It's got to be Die Hard.
Now I have a machine.
Moving on, 89. So this one...
one for me. Just one.
Yeah, I couldn't really find any. So I threw in... I got a documentary for this one. I've got Roger and Me, which was Michael Moore's first ever feature film.
I like Roger and Me. I watched Fahrenheit 9/11 the other day again.
Yeah, it's pretty...
Every time you're like...
It actually 100% convinced me. I was like, you know what? Bush probably did do 9/11. Go for it, Michael.
Even if he didn't, I feel like somebody around him did and he was completely clueless.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, should we do it? And he's like, that thing about him going on holiday and stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah, well, like he's just mates with all of them, and it's weird.
The bin, yeah, it's ridiculous. Whatever you think about 9/11, he's still a fucking nonce.
Well, there you go.
So for 1989, I went with Indiana. Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, yeah. Fair. Roger and Me. I feel like I had to throw in a doc on this.
Yeah,
because there's no other place I could throw a documentary. Yeah. There's quite a few. You know,
Roger and Me is really good. I like that. There's a new one actually come out recently on Netflix called Flint Town.
Which is about Flint, Michigan. Yeah, I was looking at that actually.
His hometown.
It's where he lives. He mentions it in every single one of his documentaries.
He goes there in Fahrenheit.
There's always a whole 20-minute segment of his film where he's like, "Oh, by the way, have I ever told you about Flint, Michigan?" And then like tells this like big segment about how
horrible it is.
How horrible, and how the General Motors ruined everything.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? I took up filmmaking.
You know what?
Even in Where to Invade Next, he does that. He's like, by the way, have you ever heard of Flint, Michigan? And it's like, it's brilliant. But yeah, Roger and Me is all about Flint, Michigan, and you see a rabbit get his head bashed in. It's tragic, but it's a great film, and it shows hard times and what people will do for, just to eat. Or just to survive.
You got Werewolf in London, so I'm going to put down Indiana in.
You can put Last Crusade in there.
It's my favourite one.
The only other honourable mention I got is The Abyss, James Cameron. You know, he likes his water, doesn't he?
I watched that film. I didn't particularly take to it.
He likes his water. 90 was an easy one. There was nothing that can... There's some good films in 1990, but nothing that can contend with Goodfellas.
Yeah.
There just isn't. Goodfellas is one of the best films ever made. Ever.
Yeah, I've got Goodfellas down.
And you can't... Some great films. Misery is one of my favourite Stephen King adaptations. Dances with Wolves is a really good film with a really good soundtrack.
Yeah, got that. Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, yes. Edward Scissorhands. One of Tim Burton's best.
Tremors, which I said was probably one of my favourite worst films. So good, it's bad. I played a segment where he chases him off the cliff. Yeah. Great films.
But nothing can contend with Goodfellas. Goodfellas can come out alongside anything and it'd still win because it is one of the best films
now for a song
ever made.
If you can guess this week's soundtrack, be sure to comment on our Facebook page, The Room Pulse Media Radio Show, or tweet us at The Room Pulse. Or maybe if you want to sponsor the show, you've enjoyed it, or you want to give us a job. We are students approaching the end of our degree. I'm panicking.
Give us jobs.
Please give us jobs. You can find our business email, theroompulse@gmail.com. Any complaints, go to ActarHero69 on Twitter. Enjoy. Well,
there you go.
That was nice in white satin. Jack,
what is the year?
The year is 1991.
It is a good year.
It's what do they call those where it's the same when you look at it forward and backwards?
A palindrome.
A palindrome. Yeah.
It is.
So we won't see again for
until
2112.
Well, can't wait. I'll be dead. That's why I can't wait.
You'll be 115.
100, yeah. Maybe in the future when there's flying cars and
maybe your head's going to be in a glass.
Maybe my head's going to be in a glass, just like Futurama.
Yeah. Arsene Wenger will still be manager of Arsenal.
Yeah. It'd be an interesting.
West Ham will still not be happy. 1991. T2.
No.
Terminator 2.
No.
No.
Bizarrely enough, I didn't go with Terminator 2.
Did you go with Silence of the Lambs?
I did go with Silence of the Lambs purely on the basis that I think it's a better film.
It's a pretty good film.
If you're comparing films, I think Silence of the Lambs is a better film than Terminator 2.
One of the best.
Terminator 2 is better than Terminator 1. And if you put them together in the same year, then it'd win. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Terminator 2 comes up against Silence of the Lambs.
Just makes good sequels, doesn't he, James Cameron?
He does.
Let's hope Avatar's
better than the first.
There's already been a Titanic 2.
Oh, yeah. Can't wait for the
There's been several
Titanic
Titanics.
2.
So yeah, I put Terminator 2, then my honourable mentions with Silence of the Lambs, The Fisher King, which I think I told you about the other week.
Oh yeah,
It's about like a radio presenter who says something very silly on air, and then so people get massacred. And The Doors, which was an Oliver Stone film about the Doors.
Oh well, I got Thelma and Louise down.
Yeah, great film.
And I got Beauty and the Beast, which I think is the first animated film we've talked about.
Yeah,
I put Beauty and the Beast down as honourable mention for this year.
There's a lot more in the one.
Yeah, there was plenty. I mean, there's plenty we've skipped out on, but I think Jungle Book was only 60, 68 or something. 60.
Yeah. And he is the king of the jungle.
Indeed he is. So I threw Beauty and the Beast in there, but Silence of the Lambs, I mean...
Anthony Hopkins is great in it.
And it's great to see a horror film doing well at Oscars. It's lovely. It's what we like. It's what we like.
Yeah, it's more of a psychological thriller though, isn't it, that film?
I mean, technically it's a horror film. I don't find it scary, but a lot of people... I don't really find anything scary. A lot of people who, don't find
You don't find anything scary?
Particularly.
Nothing at all scares you? To be fair, I'm not really scared by spiders or snakes or anything. I tell you what, one of my phobias is not so much impalement, but like losing an arm in something. Just like the process of like, I don't know, being dismembered.
Yeah, I mean the only thing that goes through me, it doesn't scare me. But the only thing if I'm watching a film, the only thing that will go through me, and even then it'll go through me, and I'll still be laughing at it, is if someone gets an arm snapped the wrong way or a leg snapped in the wrong way.
I'm not worried about watching anybody else get dismembered. I just don't want it to happen to me personally. I've got like a bit of a thing about like, stick my arm there. When like you could fall out of bed.
Oh yeah.
I also got a thing. Yeah, fall out of bed.
Significantly less worrying than being.
Or like you're piling on top of each other and your arm's bent the wrong way, and you're like, just snap this clean off. Don't know. It's just a bit
is that the way bones work? Sort of skin works?
Don't know.
Who knows?
Reservoir Dogs 1992.
Correct.
Amongo.
Safe bet. Reservoir Dogs, great film. Arguably his best film, his first film.
I prefer it to Pulp.
It's a great film, Reservoir Dogs. Tarantino's first film that he made.
That he directed.
It's a great film, yep. If you've not seen Reservoir Dogs,
some other honourable mentions from that year. I've got Unforgiven, which was Clint Eastwood's.
I've got Unforgiven down.
One of his later. Some say that's a sequel to the Fugitive.
Outlaw Josie Wales.
Josie Wales, that's his name.
Yeah, no, Unforgiven's a good film. And the only other one I've got written down is Aladdin, because Disney clearly were like, let's just pump some stuff out, lads.
Yeah.
There you go, Aladdin. That came out as well.
Yeah.
A couple of good songs in.
A couple of great songs.
Speaking of songs,
here's another one. That was another song from our soundtrack. Jack, the year is 1993. In my opinion, one of the greatest years for film. What about you?
Pretty good. I mean, 1993 has one of my favourite ever films, so I can't argue with this year. I don't know if we picked the same thing. It would probably be tough if you don't love this film as much as I do, but True Romance was such an easy pick for me.
I've got it on there, True Romance. I
love True Romance. It's got, in my opinion, the best scene.
You'd really like the Badlands then.
It's got, in my opinion, the best scene in any film ever, in cinema history. The scene where, the interrogation scene. I think I was mentioning this last week.
Yeah.
I think that is the best scene in any film. I think it's the best written, the best acting. I just think that scene stands out as the best thing in any film ever. The film itself is great. My type of film. It's just good. It's written by Tarantino, directed by Tony Scott.
It's a pretty good combination. I've got down Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Dazed and Confused.
A bit opposite, isn't it?
That's not my favourite one.
No.
Honourable mentions. Schindler's List, True Romance, Dazed and Confused, A Bronx Tale, Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I got
Cool
Groundhog Day in
Runnings,
my honourable
Falling
mentions.
Down, Philadelphia.
Falling Down's a great film, isn't it?
In the Name of the Father, but I went with Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I mean, Jurassic Park is an all-around 10 out of 10 film. Nobody can argue that Jurassic Park isn't a great film. However, True Romance takes it for me. Jurassic Park is an absolute. It's in my honourable mentions. But True Romance is
Second.
just amazing.
1994, good year. We were talking about this year before it came out.
We were actually, because
found out we had the same film, but maybe not the film that everybody would expect, which would probably be
1994, Pulp Fiction, massive film. Tarantino. What made Tarantino huge? His most well-known film, probably one of the most well-known films ever by anyone.
Then there's also the likes of the Shawshank Redemption.
Yep, Shawshank Redemption came out of the year. Forrest Gump was the same year, 1994.
Lion King.
Lion King was 1994. Natural Born Killers
great
was 1994.
Films. One and all, truly great
thought
films.
I'd throw in a foreign film, Chungking Express. That's Hong Kong New Wave. That's a good film. That's what Tarantino takes a lot of inspiration from. But what we think is the best film of 1994, which is a pretty safe bet, is Leon, the Professional.
I only watched that about last year, and I just love that film.
I love Leon. I watched it when I was quite young. I just think it's just a brilliant film. It's a brilliant film, and brilliant acting with brilliant writing, and it's Gary Oldman's best performance. Definitely. How he didn't win a supporting Oscar? Was he nominated? I don't know, but how he didn't win.
He's been nominated like 4 times anyway without winning. 3 times, 4 times. So I assume that would be one of them.
I don't think I've ever seen a better supporting. Maybe J.K. Simmons in Whiplash is probably the only other as good supporting actor role I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Gary Oldman is terrifying in Leon. He plays this nasty cop. I mean, it said, God, it's good. Natalie Portman, I think she was only, was she about 12, 13?
Yeah, something like that.
She's only young, just before, obviously, Phantom Menace. She probably filmed in 98. And this was 94, so yeah. I think she must have been like 9 in Leon, but 9 and 10 because she was doing her GCSEs or whatever the equivalent was in 99 when she went, because she couldn't go to the premiere.
Should I just Google how old she is?
I think so, yeah.
I think I'm saying she was born in 1984 or
83.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because she couldn't go to the premiere because she had to study for exams. That's some interesting spelling, Natalie Portman.
Shut up. 1981.
Well, there you go.
So she would have been 18 during those.
So
she was 13. Wow, probably 12 during filming.
Yeah.
Watching a film the other day. We'll probably come on to those.
But she's very, very grown up.
Yeah, she's a
very grown up actor. In Leon, considering she's 13. Very impressive. Very good acting. Great film. If you've not seen Leon, watch it.
Great film. Now for another song from this week's soundtrack. Remember, as always, if you can guess the soundtrack, to be sure to comment and like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff on our Facebook page. If you're listening on our YouTube channel, The Room Podcast, obviously you can't hear any of these songs, but from the few seconds that I leave in from the fade, if you can guess it, be sure to leave them in the comments section, or don't.
Goofy goober. Yeah. Another one I forgot to mention from 94, Shallow Grave.
Oh yeah, great film. Great. Jack, it's a great film.
I love Shallow Grave.
It's a great film, Jack.
Nobody's seen Shallow Grave.
I saw Shallow Grave. The film I'm producing this year is basically Shallow Grave.
Everyone's seen Trainspotting. Nobody's seen Shallow Grave.
Stephen, our lecturer, hates Shallow Grave because he said that's not how human beings act, and that just baffles me because he's the most left-of-field man I've ever seen in my life.
It is exactly how human beings act.
Yeah. And who knows what they're going to do when somebody dies.
You get a giant bag of money.
What would you do if you woke up tomorrow and Liam was dead in his room, butt naked?
With a giant bag of money?
Was also Lily Allen's dad. And he just had a bag on his bed full of money. Would you take the bag and then call the police, or would you take the bag?
This is the thing, you don't know. Would I take the bag? Would I hide myself in a loft and
I'd definitely skim a few off the top.
Watch people.
I'd carefully put on some marigolds.
I'd
take my fee for finding his body in such a good state.
Oh, there you go. You could fill it with newspaper, just like the end of Shallow Grave.
Oh, good. And the knife through his.
And the song that comes up, absolute 10 out of 10.
What a great Hugh McGregor. Hugh McGregor's great, isn't he?
Oh, he is. Obi-Wan Kenobi. My boy.
He recently divorced his wife to get with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Good choice.
And now she's dumped him.
Oh,
because she's been branded as a home wrecker.
Yeah. What was that through Fargo?
Fargo,
yeah.
Great.
Speaking of, no, that's 96. Yeah. Sorry, we'll get there. 1995.
I'll just edit it.
Just edit that.
95, the year of our Lord. It was the 90s.
Which year isn't the year of our Lord? Are they all the year of our Lord, or is there any that aren't? Well, 1666, I suppose. That's
the one
probably
before Jesus was born. So the year -1.
-1. Was that one?
Dynamite.
1 BC?
No.
Yeah, well, 1 BC,
1 BC.
0, 180. That must have been a confusing 3 years for everybody, wasn't it?
It baffles me how religions that don't even believe in Jesus still take that as the calendar.
Yeah, I mean, what must the Romans been thinking it was? Do you reckon they were like, oh, it's 4?
I don't
4,
know. It's weird,
4,
isn't it? It's weird.
Why?
Ancient. It's very confusing. I think each culture has their own way of working it out, because that's how they say, like, every year. It's like, oh, the Mayans predicted the world would end this year because somebody's worked out what their calendar actually meant.
But we do have leap years, so the world would have ended already by now if it was supposed to end. And
it's gonna end in good time, but
one day we will be gone. It won't be by the time that whatever I said
What do
earlier.
you reckon a good age is to die?
I don't know. It's a tough one.
See, my granddad's like 90.
It's a solid age.
This year.
It's a solid age.
And
No,
he's
it's not
happy
about.
as Larry,
It's the thing. It's not about what a good age to die is. It's about what if you get 100, what do you do with yourself?
You get a card from the Queen, and I'd send it back saying no thanks.
I'd just be playing Xbox all the time if I was 100. What can you do? Watch TV, play Xbox. You probably can. Arthritis.
Be racist.
There isn't much you can do at age 100, so it'd be one of them just sort of like, sick of this now.
Gypsy once told my granddad he was going to live till the age of 99. He's 91 at the minute.
Oh, he's got a good 8 years left.
And on the year that he turned 66, he was really worried that she'd read it upside down. And he thought he was going to die.
What a way to live your life.
Yeah.
If you're confident you're going to live to 99, because the Gypsy told you so, you probably will live to 99 just because you're confident.
She's done pretty well. My nan is 88, so still live at home, happy as Larry. Well,
kill him.
Racist as Larry.
Well, who's Larry? Why is he racist?
Some black chap from that pub.
There you go. That'll be it. Voted Brexit 3 times.
Apparently, the other day in my sleep, I was informed that I just randomly said in my sleep, Brexit means Brexit. This is fantastic. So I put it in my Twitter bio now.
Oh, fair enough.
Have you seen Barry Stanton on Twitter?
Yeah.
Fantastic Twitter account. Check out Barry Stanton.
It's funny stuff.
So good.
Funny stuff.
Anyway, in 1995, Barry Stanton was a good 60 years old. 50 at least. 7 was what I put down. I've got 2 films actually. 7 was 1.
I didn't actually. This was a tough one for me because it was
films.
Two of my favourite films in this year.
Was one of them Usual Suspects?
It is. Usual Suspects is the one I picked.
Yeah, because you're a big Kevin Spacey fan.
Big Kevin Spacey fan, you see.
We can appreciate it. I think he was accused of noncing around this time, but
but interesting facts about 95 with Usual Suspects and 7, because they came out at about the same time, and obviously they're both starring Kevin Spacey. 7 was due to release just before The Usual Suspects, and the production company of Usual Suspects actually begged 7 to release after the film, because if people watched Usual Suspects first, nobody would suspect Kevin Spacey is the villain.
And then also 7...
But if 7 paints him as a terrifying, horrible man, and if you watch that first, everyone would just,
And 7 also took his name off the opening credits, leaves him to the end, so you don't know that Kevin Spacey is the...
Which is, a good show.
Yeah, it's great.
7 is a quality film. But,
it's my favourite David Fincher one, that's why I put it on.
Usual Suspects is one of my favourite films, so I couldn't not have that in there.
Yeah.
But it was a tough one between Braveheart, because I love Braveheart as well.
It's not very historically accurate.
Well,
and Mel Gibson is...
Mel Gibson's Scottish accent's off and historically accurate, but it's a great film.
I also got Heat, which you're saying with Al
Heat is a great film. I put Heat down.
Heat.
Heat's probably the best bank robbery film.
Jumanji.
No, I got Casino down as well.
I didn't really like Casino.
You don't like Casino?
Not my favourite.
Not even for that opening explosion
with the switch
with the doll.
That is awful.
It's badly done, isn't it?
Yeah, 95. I got Heat, Usual Suspects, Jumanji, Before Sunrise.
Solid, yeah.
And Die Hard 3 because it's my favourite Die Hard.
Die Hard 3. It's a good Die Hard. It is a good. Everyone forgets Die Hard 2 and 3.
Yeah.
2 is.
I don't like 4, but that's quite popular.
2 is pretty poor. That's the one.
I don't know if it's poor. I think it just suffers from being too close to the first one and being too.
3 is. Yeah. 3 is great. Samuel Jackson and
I love that. When it starts with the Summer in the City and the cars explode and stuff, it's what great.
3 is really good. 4 is rubbish. 5 is just atrocious.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
A Good Day to Die Hard.
That's almost comically bad. I feel like at some point they were like, let's just make this as bad as possible.
Yeah, why, let's just stray away from the first one and make this Taken 7.
I feel like somebody was like, you know what, we should go to Russia for this one. And then
you know what people don't like right now? Russians.
And they're like, what should we do in Russia? And they're like, what's in Russia? And like, Chernobyl, let's go there. And then somebody was like, halfway through, was like, you know, Chernobyl's in Ukraine. I'm like, fuck. Right, we're still keeping it in. But, you know, they're all the same, those commies.
It's, yeah, no. Die Hard 3 is a very good film. You know, there's a series of threats in it that they have to keep stopping. And
here's a second one I've got that may, you know,
disturb me.
Your very
sleep.
Existence. You may, like, literally kill yourself right now on the spot. Toy Story.
Why would I kill one? It's a great film.
Great film.
Toy Story's a great film.
It's also a very depressing film about a woman going through a divorce.
It is Pixar's first film, wasn't it?
And very dark people.
Could be if you look at it. Like
Josh Whedon's another naughty man.
Joss Whedon, yeah.
Very unfaithful to his wife. Bit of a.
We do mention.
And John Lasseter as well.
Is he? He's not a bad guy. Can't tell me John Lasseter's a bad guy.
He was meant to be directing this one, and you think he's just producing it because he was a bit touchy feely. I think the people at Pixar had a term called, I think, le lassoiter, playing his name like a lasso.
Yeah. Where
he'd just come in for a big hug, and he just
grab what he wanted.
And we don't accept that here because we're all about women's rights. And
it's that time of the week again.
We're absolutely against sexual harassment in any form of any gender and any race. And remember, this is a gender-neutral toilet. There are no assumptions, no stereotypes, no gender roles. It's for everyone. #we win, and that's we with how many E's, Jack?
That's 2 E's.
That is 2 E's. That is a pun, I believe.
Hilarious.
Unconfirmed reports suggest that is a pun. So 95. What are we going with?
95. Usual Suspects.
I'll go with Usual Suspects. Go on then.
It's a great film. It's a great film.
One thing I forgot to talk about in 93 was Bronx Tale, which is one of my favourite films. But it's got the cop in this in.
And Usual Suspects, you were saying that.
Usual Suspects. Great film. Should we put one more song on before we reveal the year 1996?
Can do. Not a very interesting year, but
there was a couple of good films, but you know, nothing out of the ordinary.
Just a toss up between two for me.
1996. Coming right up after this song. Fade. That was a fresh fade.
With a PH.
Shall we carry on, Jack, with the final year of our 30 years of cinema? It's been quite a successful show, even though we're 2 men down. Or 1 man up, depending on how you look at it.
There you go. There's the positivity in everything.
Yep.
1996. I only got 2.
The year of our Lord.
The year of our Lord.
The year of the birth of our co-host, Liam Soper. We didn't say anything.
Liam Soper.
Liam Brown. 94 was Tom's year of birth. They're both old as...
Yeah,
old as time itself.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Toss up between Trainspotting and Fargo for me.
Yeah, same.
But I did put Fargo down.
Yeah, eventually
that's the better film.
I went with Fargo
because I think Fargo is a better film. But I do love Trainspotting.
Fantastic film.
But Fargo is just some top quality filmmaking.
I also had down Scream. I really like
Scream. Yeah, Scream's a good film.
And Dusk Till Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn, was that 96?
Yes, it was. Great
film. I do like From Dusk Till Dawn. That's a film that really throws you off.
It does, doesn't it?
Nice bit of Tarantino.
I remember the first time
acting.
I watched that, I was just like, and it gets that.
If nobody tells you, if you've not seen it, well, I'm gonna spoil it for you because a film will really throw you off if you don't know what it is about. But it's a nice bit of Tarantino acting in there, which everybody loves. Wasn't that one of Clooney's first major roles?
Probably, because he was in the ER, wasn't he, for a long time? So yeah, probably.
I think that was one of his first.
He would have been about 40 when that happens.
Roles.
He's always been a bit of a daddy. Right, so we completed our list.
Should
we go back and recap, Jack? We got a couple of years to fill in. Right at the very start, we got 67 and 68.
67 and 68. Well, those are the tough ones.
These were the tough ones we had and we're struggling with.
Ultra horses.
With
67, I've got Cool Hand Luke still going strong there.
Not seen it.
What was your option for that? Bullet.
67 was The Graduate. 68 was Bullet.
Okay, Cool Hand Luke's a better film. I've never seen The Graduate, but Cool Hand Luke's got to be a better film.
Okay.
68 was Night of the Living Dead, but you can put Bullet down just because of compromise with Cool Hand Luke.
Yes.
78 we're missing. I've got Dawn of the Dead. You've put Deer Hunter.
I argue Deer Hunter is a better film.
I'd argue Dawn of the Dead's a better film. It sort of I mean, Night of the Living Dead did a lot for horror, but Dawn of the Dead just sort of was like, you like zombies, and now what do you see every day? Probably zombies. Zombies in everything.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Zombies sell. Literally, even games do it now. Like every single game's like, throw some zombies in. Look at Call of Duty. Everybody's like, oh, I should play some COD Zombies. And you wouldn't be around without Dawn of the Dead.
Okay, here we go, Jack. This is our final list from 66 to 99. Sorry, 96. Sorry, got there eventually. 66. We went with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Sergio Leone's, starring Clint Eastwood, famous part of the Spaghetti trilogy. Number 67 was Cool Hand Luke. 68 was Bullet, as we just discussed. 69, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, although we also argue for Italian Job in that year. 1970, that should be Kelly, not Keely. Kelly's Heroes. 71, Clockwork Orange. 72, The Godfather Part 1. Sting for 1973. 74 is Blazing Saddles.
Much to Josh's disgust.
Everybody else out there in the world, it's also Godfather Part 2. 75, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. 76, Taxi Driver. I like the abbreviations I got for
I was going to say, could you not just write driver there? Just wrote a taxi. You're busy.
77, Star Wars, A New Hope. 78, Night of the Living Dead. Or the Deer Hunter. 79, Alien. 80, The Shining. 81, Werewolf in London. 82, one we agreed on, The Thing. 83, Scarface. 84, Terminator 1. 85, Back to the Future. 86, Aliens.
Plural.
So the first sequel we've got in there. 87, Untouchables.
No, Dawn of the Dead's a sequel. Technically, oh, no, it
we didn't put the first one in, did we?
All right, fair.
I mean,
as you were.
Yeah. But 88, Die Hard. Obviously, greatest film ever. 89, Indiana Jones. 90.
But which one is that? That was Last Crusade, wasn't it?
Yes. 90, Goodfellas. Not the pizza, the film, although I do also recommend that. This is not a paid endorsement. 91, Silence of the Lambs. We're having an old friend for dinner. 92, Reservoir Dogs. With two S's there.
Spelled immaculately. I love the way the two S's is what you pick up instead of the word reservoir there. But.
Oh, wait, you say potato, I say twat. Or I spell it swat. In that case. 93 is Jurassic Park, but Jack is adamant True Romance is a great film, and I do agree, but Jurassic Park is groundbreaking.
I'll agree with Jurassic Park though.
94, it's Leon the Professional, starring what we agreed would be a 13-year-old Natalie Portman.
13-year-old girl.
95.
Heavily sexualised in that film as well.
Peculiar. Yeah, French director, innit?
True.
Luc Besson.
Look at these French.
Yeah.
Damn them.
95, it's The Usual Suspects, or in this case, The Unusual Suspect in Kevin Spacey. Bloody hell, mate, you really let us down. You really dropped the ball and then picked somebody else's up. 96, it's Fargo, and that rounds it off. That's our 30 greatest films from each year. Jack, which years do you think were disappointing?
Disappointing year 70 was
70,
a tough
you
one.
were disappointed. 89, I only have one film down for 89. Again, the 60s ones I think were a lot easier, apart from 69. 69 was a good year. Butch Cassidy, Kez, Easy Rider, Midnight Cowboy, Italian Job, Butch Cassidy.
72 didn't really have much on other than The Godfather.
I have Fist of Fury and Deliverance. 74 wasn't great. 79 was alright, actually, to be fair. I think one of the best years was 73. I had lots for 73. Badlands, Crazy, American Graffiti, Serpico, and we went for The Sting in the end.
The Sting, great film. Wicker Man and Exorcist I had down.
87 was another good year. 90. It's been a good time. I think the biggest one is 93, though.
I'd say 94 is bigger for big films.
For big films, sorry, but in terms of sheer quality across the board, in terms of how many films were great in that year.
It's strange how there's more good films, the later on it in the world you get. You've still got the same quality in the 60s and 70s of quality of film.
I guess
there's just more of that quality per year then. Like if someone in 20 years' time was to do, best films from 2018 or to whatever, there'll probably be a good 4.
It comes with time, though, doesn't it? Times, like, people say, Birdman won't be remembered as fondly as
Whiplash.
Whiplash.
Right, yeah.
Or what's the Richard Linklater one that came out?
Boyhood. Terrible
Boyhood.
film.
I like Boyhood.
Terrible film.
What's your thoughts on Boyhood and our list so far? Was there any that you would change? Let us know in the comments section or comment on our Facebook page, The Room Pulse Media Radio Show, or tweet us at The Room Pulse. Anyway, if you don't like it, well... Have I clicked the right button? I have. There's just a bit of a delay. If you don't like it, well... That's life. One of the late greats there, that is, of course, Frank Sinatra.
I feel like I'm in Frankie and Benny's. Oh.
Yeah, I know, mate.
Congratulations, is about to start. Happy birthday.
I went to Frankie and Benny's the other day and bought a £14 burger. Okay. Used the 50% off mains apps. The entire dinner cost me 16 quid.
Not bad, is it? Yeah.
Oh my god.
It is. It's
and that's drinks and 2 sets of meals.
The only problem is with Frankie and Benny's is that the food quality isn't particularly great anymore.
I think it depends where you go.
I suppose it could.
Although with this one I went to, it was in Salford. They gave me a burger, and I was just looking at it thinking something's wrong about this.
Yeah,
and they missed a bunch of stuff out, and I was like, they missed a bunch of stuff out, and I was like, and some of it was like tomatoes, which I don't really like, but they left onion rings out. I was like, the picture's got onion rings, and then they brought me onion rings.
One onion rings, yeah.
Like, damn, I didn't even want them. They wanted them, so I had to get them for off my burger.
Well, there you go.
Anyway, this has been people of YouTube. We're going to log off now. People listening live, you're going to get a bonus segment. But this has been the Room Pulse Media Radio Show, our top 30 from each year. I think it's been a quite successful show, if I do say so myself. I've enjoyed it. It's just been myself and Jack today, flying solo. No Tom and no Liam. They'll be back. Also, we should mention, we haven't mentioned this up front, the nominations are now open for Pulse Media Radio Show of the Year or Host of the Year. If you think myself or Jack are deserving of that Host of the Year award, why don't you vote for us? If you think the show in general is deserving of a Host Show of the Year nomination, why don't you go for that? Obviously, we won last year. It's a great achievement. We're hoping to emulate that this year.
2 in a row, maybe.
Yeah, 2 for 2. But anyway, nonetheless, thanks for all the support. Be sure to like and subscribe. You'll find that link in the bio of this video or on our Facebook page and Twitter. We tweeted them both out recently. So, just check that out. Thanks again.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.